Only about 27 universal injunctions were issued in the 20th century. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, Senator.
But 86 of them were issued against President Trump in his first term. Is that correct?
I don't know the specific number, but they were a high number.
And so far in President Trump's second term, 30 universal injunctions have been issued against him, have they not?
Senator John Kennedy goes full throttle in this intense exchange with Trump's nominee for Assistant Attorney General. From legal loopholes to constitutional overreach, Kennedy holds nothing back. Watch as he exposes the shaky ground behind universal injunctions in this must-see Senate hearing moment. I've seen my fair share of Senate hearings, but what you're about to witness, this one stands out. Kennedy, known for his no-nonsense straight-shooting style, just grilled Mr. Brett Shumate, Trump's nominee for Assistant Attorney General, like a man on a mission. No fluff, no dancing around, just facts, fire, and razor-sharp questions. Let's dive in.
Mr. Shumate, what's a universal injunction?
Senator, a universal injunction is what we call an order from a court enjoining the government in a way that goes beyond the parties to the case, but applies nationwide or in some cases universally to enjoin the government.
Is it sometimes referred to as a nationwide injunction?
Yes, it is, Senator.
Okay. What's the statutory basis for a federal judge issuing an order that affects people other than the parties before the court?
I'm not aware of a statutory basis, Senator.
There is no statutory basis, is there?
No, Senator.
What's the United States Supreme Court opinion which interprets the Constitution in a way that allows a federal district court judge to do this? Can you name me that case?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
There isn't one, is there?
I'm not aware of one, Senator.
Now, explain to me how this works. You have a plaintiff and you have a defendant, and the plaintiff files a lawsuit and goes in front of a federal judge. Federal judge has certain jurisdiction in personam and subject matter over the parties, the people, the plaintiff and the defendant. They're the only two people in court. How can a judge, a federal judge, issue an order that affects everybody else other than those in front of him or her? How is that possible?
It shouldn't be possible, Senator, but district courts do it all the time. I think on the theory that the courts need to enjoin a federal policy from going into effect, and they often will enjoin it as nationwide, so all non-parties are protected by that injunction.
I thought that if you wanted to affect parties who aren't in court, you had to file a class action.
That's correct, Senator.
So why don't the federal judges, instead of issuing a universal injunction with no legal basis, tell the plaintiff, look, you got to go file a class action if you want to impact parties who aren't subject to my court?
Senator, the Department of Justice makes that argument all the time in our briefs. I think in many cases class actions would be inappropriate. They wouldn't. The plaintiffs couldn't satisfy Rule 23 to establish a class.
So they couldn't?
Correct.
So they preferred to ask for a universal injunction?
Yes.
Okay. Does this encourage forum shopping?
Yes, Senator. Not only does it encourage forum shopping, but also district shopping and filing multiple strategic lawsuits to find one judge that will enjoin a single policy nationwide. Where if you have 5 lawsuits, a plaintiff, only one of those 5 cases needs to be successful.
And both sides, all sides, have used this as a way to forum shop, haven't they?
I think plaintiffs, regardless of administrations, will often file cases in the most favorable forum, yes.
Okay, we've established that there's no basis in statute and no basis in Supreme Court precedent for a universal injunction. Only about 27 universal injunctions were issued in the 20th century. Does that sound about right?
That sounds about right, Senator.
But 86 of them were issued against President Trump in his first term. Is that correct?
I don't know the specific number, but they were a high number.
And so far in President Trump's second term, 30 universal injunctions have been issued against him, have they not?
Senator, I don't have a specific number, but that sounds about right.
The universal injunction has become a weapon against the Trump administration, has it not?
Yes.
And tell me again in my last 10 seconds, tell me the basis for universal injunction in Article 3. I read Article 3, which defines judicial power. Where does it mention universal injunction?
It does not, Senator.
Now comes the mic drop moment. Kennedy points out, only 27 universal injunctions were issued throughout the entire 20th century, but under President Trump, 86 in his first term alone. 30 more since then. Shoemate doesn't dispute it. Kennedy's point is crystal clear. This legal tool has become a weapon, not a neutral remedy but a tactic, used almost exclusively against one administration. And when Kennedy asks for the constitutional basis for this sweeping power, Shoemate admits, it's not there. Article 3 of the Constitution never mentions it, because it was never meant to be there. This wasn't just a hearing, it was a masterclass. Senator Kennedy didn't just question a nominee, he exposed a system that's been quietly bending the rules. Universal injunctions, judge shopping, legal gymnastics, all done without clear legal authority. Whether you lean left, right, or straight down the middle, this is something that should concern all of us. So, smash that like button if you found this informative. Hit subscribe so you never miss moments like this. And drop a comment below. Do you think universal injunctions should be reined in? Thanks for watching. Stay sharp. Stay informed.